Cent Podcast.
Hey everybody, this is Matthew, and Rizzle and I are back with another special interview on the You Deserve a Drink podcast. Our guest this week is a repeat visitor to the podcast. It's someone who anyone in NFT land or Cent will know very well. We're really stoked to be able to speak with Jim McNelis this week about the new upcoming NFT minting marketplace called InfiNFT, as well as all the ongoings at the parent company NFT42, the updates on Avastars and what's going on over at TokenSmart. So we cover a whole lot. The episode's really funny. I struggle a lot with the actual correct pronunciation of InfiNFT, as you'll hear Rizzle roast me multiple times throughout our conversation. But it's a fascinating project. There's a lot to unpack there. On-chain metadata, partnership with Arweave. There's a lot of advancement here, a lot to really unpack. And I really hope that all of you enjoyed the conversation that Rizzo and I had with Jim. Again, it was really funny. We have a good rapport with one another. But at the end of the day, we're talking about really serious innovations in the space. So without further ado, please enjoy our conversation with Jim McNelis. Okay, we're live. This is Matthew, and I'm coming back with Rizzle for another special interview. Actually, this is a really special interview. Our guest today is the first repeat special interview guest we're having on the Cent podcast. We're super excited. I'm sure everyone knows this character, Jim McNelis, who is founder, CEO, NFT42, Avastars, now a new project, InfiNFT, obviously the TokenSmart project. There's just so many hats this man wears. Very excited to have Jim back on the podcast. Welcome back, Jim.
Hey, thanks guys. Good to be back.
Cool. So we have a lot to get into, but first, I think reminding folks who you are for like the 0.1% of people who may be new to you in NFT land. I think it'd be great to have a quick self-intro. And then I think going right into talking about the state of NFT42 and explaining that to folks before we get into all the projects that you have cooking up.
Sure. Yeah, so my name is Jim McNelis. I have been NFT degen since December 2017 when I bought my first CryptoKitty. I have purchased NFTs as recently as today, so I still maintain that status. About a year ago, I started building Avastars, going and finding a developer, which I managed to do, and building out Avastars, which we just actually launched 2 weeks ago. It's been a year-long journey to get here, but extremely excited about that. And I think we'll talk about that a little bit today. But in the meantime, between a year ago and today, other ideas have formulated and taken shape as Avastars has been being built. So I kind of wasn't able to sit still for a full year while this thing was taking shape. And as a result of that, we've also expanded what was originally just Avastars into kind of a wider umbrella, which is all underneath of NFT42. That's the company, NFT42.com, parent company of Avastars, parent company of InfiNFT, and parent company of TokenSmart as well, and parent company of some future brand, some future idea that we haven't thought of yet. But basically, yeah, I'm ADD, but diagnosed ADD. So like my mind's all over the place. I always am thinking about like 20 different things at once and have trouble sometimes focusing in on things. So yeah, it's been really a nice distraction. Like when I'm waiting for development to happen with Avastars to be able to jump over to some other ideas and work on them. And luckily, I'm not the sole person responsible for all of these things. I have definitely coordinated. Sometimes I've been the inspiration for the ideas. Other times I've just been coordinating efforts. Nate Hart is actually leading up the InfiNFT brand. I'm kind of in charge of the Avastars brand. And then actually Rizzle has been taking the charge on the TokenSmart brand as well. So we are all kind of spearheading our different efforts, but we're like a trident of the different points of a trident right now, and we're charging ahead through the sea, trident first. trying to attack these different areas of innovation that are ripe for the taking.
That's awesome. In 2 short months since we last spoke and before we met in NFT NYC, it's amazing just the progress in what NFT 42 is, and obviously Avastars is the big news since we spoke last. That was pre-Avastars launch, pre-scrolling addictions for many. So, dude, I know there's a lot of sexy stats associated with Avastars project. Hit us with the excellence that you're proving out over there.
Sure, absolutely. So, I mean, we're all about like transparency as well. So, and all this stuff's available on the blockchain. So, happy to share that our founder sale, which took place during the month of February, we sold 100 of our initial Avastars for an average of 4.5 ETH a piece. So we brought in about 450 ETH on those first 100 Avastars, which was really great. And then this recent launch of Series 1, which will sell an additional 5,000 Avastars, we've sold through about a little bit over 4,500, about 4,600 Avastars as of the time of this recording. So we have about 400 to go in Series 1. And we've brought in almost an additional 600 ETH off of that. It will be 600 ETH by the time it's all over, I believe. So we're looking at a little bit over 1,000 ETH for being about 1/5 through Generation 1. And I'm really excited and encouraged by the reception that we've gotten so far and how many Avastars people have created in such a short amount of time. As of right now, we have 234 hardcore holders of Avastars. That's how many people have an Avastar in their account right now. And that's like, all these other numbers I threw out there, that's like the main number that I look at every day. And I'm going to work on growing that and getting more and more people. And what's the word I'm looking for here? Indoctrinated into scrolling Avastars. So I'm actually having trouble here. Like right now, I have 2 computers in front of me, and one of them has the Avastars website open, and I just want to scroll through these things as I'm talking. But I know if I do, I'll get distracted trying to look for a specific trade or something like that. But I've heard about people who, a couple of my friends have told me they're in meetings all day and they're just scrolling the whole time. They're in meetings, like they're in Zoom meetings and scrolling, and they're always scrolling. So always be scrolling, I guess, is the terminology.
I was just gonna say, I imagine you constantly scrolling, man. That's like how you are in my head, like always scrolling.
I kind of feel an obligation to scroll, but I also like, because people hit me up and they're like, "Oh, I'm like, I've been scrolling for hours and hours and hours. Help, Jim!" And I'm like, "I'll scroll for you." Like I don't know what to say, so I just like go start scrolling so that like I'm like I'll share in this pain that we're going through together. Where like there's this thing that we just can't stop doing.
Wait, so back it up a second, because I have a couple stat questions that aren't as financially driven or whatever, but ones I'm genuinely curious about. So for people listening, when you're scrolling through Avastars, you're essentially randomly generating Avastars. And one of the things that I was really curious about before launch was what people would end up minting the most of, because it's totally wide open and people only mint the ones that they really like. So I was honestly curious, are people going to end up minting mostly male versus female? Because generally I imagine our user base being mostly male.
What's your guess there?
Well, my guess based on what I've seen is it seems like mostly females are getting minted. I would guess it's female heavy, but I'm also interested in like what traits, common, the less common ones people seem to be gravitating towards. So, man, any stats you have on like what you've found that people have been interested the most in is very interesting to me.
Sure. Okay. Well, out of 4,618 Series 1 Avastars, there are, I just had it up here, 2,698 females and 1,942 males. So we have a very heavy bias towards females at the moment. And there's actually no way that males could catch up, even if every Avastar minted between now and the time it closed was a male. There would still be more females. So definitely for Series 1, the consensus is that the females were more desirable, maybe more visually appealing. I think that my theory is aside from rarity, which is a factor, an Avastar looking good is like probably the number one reason someone would decide to make one. So I think that the definite preference towards females in Series 1. And that's surprising in some ways because there's definitely more males, I think. Well, it's assumed that there's more males that are participating in this like NFT land collectible space than females. But we've all seemed to make our fair share of female Avastars. So that's definitely more females than males by quite a lot. And because of that, like when I'm just looking generally at these, at the different traits, there's definitely like a skew towards the female traits as well. Like female face 1, there's over 2,000 of that, whereas there's only 1,500 male face 1, which is like the most generic face type, I guess, for the series. And then like there's the hair color. We have a lot of white blonde and bleach blonde and light blonde and ash blonde. These are all the colors that are only going to be around for Series 1. So people have actually been kind of smart and, making the what we call common traits. If they're called common traits, that just means how often they're going to show up when you're scrolling. It actually doesn't determine how rare they're going to end up being. So one of the cool things about this is it's kind of easy to approach, where you can just, go to avastars.io and you just click on the Discover tab, and then you can just start scrolling. And that's the essence of it. You just start scrolling. You don't have to pay anything to scroll. You're randomly generating them all by yourself. And like you know what you like. You see one and you're like, oh, that one's cool, I want to get that. And then you look at the price and everything else at that point and determine if you want to buy it. But it's easy to approach, right? Because like good looking things are good looking. Like it's subjective, but it's like there's kind of some consensus too that like there's some real beauty in some of these backgrounds and color palettes and color combinations and stuff like that. So it's simple to approach in that way. You just scroll and you click on the ones you like and buy them. But then there's all this complexity underneath of it, both in like the trait distribution and like which traits are going to show up in which series. And then there's the idea of replicants, which right now we're scrolling through and trying to find Avastars. But once we get through 5 series here, once we get through 25,000 total, then you're going to be able to actually build your own Avastars based on the traits that you've collected during the scrolling or purchased off of OpenSea on the second market. And people are already really excited about that part of it all. And I'm really excited about that part too, because, once you've scrolled through a bunch of them, you start to get an idea of the stuff you really like. And it's very difficult to go out and find like that exact combination of what you want. But with replicants, you're going to actually be able to make exactly what you want. So I'm really excited about not only what's going on now, but like the next 4 to 6 months as we get to the replicants part is extremely exciting.
Yeah. As someone who scrolled looking for some very specific traits, I can testify to, well, first of all, how addicting the scrolling mechanism is, but then also just trying to get the right combination of traits, right? It's almost a futile task. But if you have enough time in the day and patience, you can definitely almost approximate what you probably have in your mind's eye after you see like all the different traits, which is sweet. One of the questions I had though on the numbers, when it gets, I know you have 234 holders of Avastars, which is awesome, but I know there's a few whales, and one whale in particular, I saw a tweet, I forget by from whom, but Moderats seems to have an unhealthy obsession with Avastars. What the hell is going on with Moderats, and why is he holding such a large percentage of Avastars? Any theories around what's going on over there?
He has 670 of them right now. That's a lot. It's nearly twice as many as the second most holder, who's pranked. He's going to end up, he's just secured himself like 12 or 13% of Series 1, which was a total like pleasant surprise. I mean, thank you, Modrats. I mean, I know you didn't do it because you like me. I know that's not why you did it. So I have to think that it's because he has been paying. He's the one person who has listened to absolutely everything that I've had to say over the last 6 to 8 months about this, and has read every shred of everything that I've released and everything there is to read about Avastars. And he knows this is the real deal. And so he's like, if I'm going to go heavy on something, it's got to be this. Like, that's, I mean, that's the best case scenario. And that's just like what I have to believe, is that he actually read the manual. He actually did his research. He's looked at our smart contracts. He's read all of our stuff, and he knows that this is something he wants. Now, that's probably not the case, but like, I mean, in order for someone to spend that much on this project, like, I hope that he's just done his due diligence and knows that this is a solid project and is going to rock and roll with it. I had actually sent him, because I've been trying to, so to back up for just a second, me and Motorats, we have like a very interesting and public relationship where I yell at him and he usually I yell at him on Twitter because that's the only place I know that I can actually communicate with him. He doesn't follow anybody. I can't send him any messages, so I have to like at him on Twitter. And I usually am adding him, telling him that if he's going to bid on something that I've bid on, that he should like beat me by more than 0.001 ETH, and that's fucked up that you do that. And then like more recently, I was trying to get him to trade me actually like a Sato, which is one of the artists on Super Rare that hasn't been around in a few months. And I really want to get my hands on a couple of their pieces. And he's one of the people who has a few of them that I really like. So I was trying to like convince him to just like, I'd send him cool stuff and he sends me a Sato. That didn't really work out. We did trade some art during that period of time though. Like, and he sends me like, to send me messages, he actually sends me stuff that people would love to get. Like, I got all these like 1 of 20 X copies and stuff because he's sending me messages that happen to fit with the message he's trying to send me. Like the most recent thing was like a 1 of 20 Hackatow he sent me with, because I sent like a thank you note through a friend that was just like, hey man, thanks for your support. If you need anything, if you want to talk about Avastars, if you want to tell me what you want for the future of Avastars, since you have so many of these things, here's my email address. Please email me and tell me what you want and I'll make it happen. And he sent me a Hackatow with, I don't remember the name of it, but it's basically one of the Hackatow figures putting their fingers in their ears. So like, la, 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 la. I don't know if it's a Podmork, but it was like one of the figures they draw, and she's got her fingers in her ears. So she's like not listening. So like, he's not listening to me. He can't hear me. You know, like that's the message I got back. I'm pretty sure it was like, la, 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 la. I don't hear you. I'm not going to send you any messages back. But this is the message I got back.
Yeah, Moderats is special character there. But kind of like moving on, I know you sort of alluded to how in a couple months we'll get the replicants added. But in terms of right after this current series sells out for Series 2, is there any plans, anything in the works that you can announce at this point to get people FOMOing for when that stage is reached?
Yeah, what we launched was really basic, right? Like you could basically go to the website, see some brief instructions, you could scroll, and then you could buy. And then even after you buy, like there's no way to see what you bought on our website. You have to go to OpenSea to see it. So just today, we actually released the ability. It's not real time, but you will be able to go and follow the link on OpenSea back to the specific Avastar on our website. So we actually didn't even have that functionality. So now you can actually see your Avastar through our website directly, which is nice to be able to do your research on like the legendary traits and everything else, which isn't called out very specifically on OpenSea. So that's something we got out today. We intend to, our scrolling has a memory leak in it. So after you scroll for a little while, it crashes and you lose any of your progress or any Avastars you tried to save. So a lot of the veteran scrollers have learned in this short period of time that when you find one you like, you should just go ahead and mint it. And instead of like putting 20 in your basket and praying to Jesus that it doesn't crash. So we're hoping to fix that in between Series 1 and 2. It should be able to nail that down because that was actually a problem that presented itself kind of later in development. We weren't having those scrolling issues before. We're going to have a user profile page where you'll be able to see your collection of Avastars. So we don't have that today. So those are the three main things that we want to get working between Series 1 and Series 2. But we're actually starting to listen to our users and take suggestions as to what they would like us to focus on, because beyond those initial things and getting replicants out the door, we really want to focus on things that the people who have Avastars want from the project. And the whole idea around Avastars and myself is, you know, I'm a degenerate NFT collector, is making things that are thinking about the user first. So if we weren't going to be listening to our users and I was telling you a whole list of things and a long roadmap, then in my opinion, we'd be doing it wrong. It's time to listen to our users after we get the base functionality in place. So if you have suggestions, come into our Discord and let me know what it is you want from Avastars.
I feel like in terms of what users want, like the launch of Avastars really dovetailed nicely with this whole like on-chain, what seems like is becoming a movement right now. Like a lot of people are pushing people in that direction. And maybe that like is a nice segue to get into the next project you want to talk about, InfiNFT and everything. But Avastars is doing something different than a lot of other projects are doing out there with the metadata. And I feel like it's worth at least a mention, and it carries the larger theme of what is trying to be accomplished by NFT 42.
Yeah, so it would be remiss of us not to mention that the Avastars art and metadata is on chain, and you can go interact with our smart contracts and pull down the SVG image. You can pull down the metadata that we serve up to OpenSea directly from our smart contract. So that is there, and I think that's one of the big reasons people have gravitated towards this, is they learn the value prop around that. But then, like, the way we did that was a little bit complex, right? Like, we stored the base layer images of each trait on the smart contract, and then we can assemble those with the smart contract. There's 12 of them. We can just put together these 12 Lego blocks for any individual Avastar and kick out that SVG. But for, like, broader NFTs, that's not an easy thing to accomplish, right? Like, we have to rethink how that's going to work, because there's obviously not enough room on the Ethereum blockchain to store like large image files or 3D files or things like that. So what we've done with InfiNFT is actually Nate Hart, who is the project lead on that and the main developer on that. He's like everything in InfiNFT. He went out and forged a partnership with Arweave, which is a blockchain that is a one-time permanent persistent storage blockchain that's very recently launched. They've got venture capital backing them, the big names in the industry, and they're a really sharp group. And they've got this amazing blockchain that we can just store files on. So we coordinated with them, and that's what InfiNFT is. So what we do is we store the metadata itself is on Ethereum blockchain. You've got like JSON metadata about the art, the NFT art token. And then the media or art itself it has an IPFS hash. We hash it. We don't actually store it on IPFS, but we hash it. And then we actually store it on Arweave blockchain, and that is where the media lives. So we can actually do large files that are attached to an NFT token. And in addition to being able to do images and video, we're also launching with the support for 3D files and for music as well. So it's really like a wide variety of media that'll be available for art NFTs. And basically we're doing our alpha launch in like the second week of May here. And that's going to be like 10 of the top artists in the industry, like Giant Swan and Hackatow and Iketza and a lot of money and Twisted Vacancy, like just really like great people are launching their product on this. And very shortly after that, like almost immediately after that, any artist who wants to create their own NFT token, or anybody who thinks they're an artist, can come out and deploy a smart contract using our platform, and they'll have their own art NFT smart contract that they can create NFT art with and store it on the chain forever.
That's awesome. You're starting off with the heavy hitters. Real quick, just like elevator pitch, because there's a lot of details that you gave. If you want to give that like high level version for folks, so when they ask like, well, so what is InfiNFT?
Can we first teach Matthew? I'm sorry. Can we first teach Matthew how to say this properly?
Yeah, it's like infinity.
My tongue is messed up. I've been in Asia for too long, dude.
I can't even barely say infinite. See, I can barely say infinity anymore because I've stolen this word and changed it into InfiNFT. So it's InfiNFT, like InfiNFT, like you kind of like do the end part of infinity, but then you say FT instead, like infinity.
InfiNFT.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
That's it. InfiNFT. Good audible. Good audible there, Rizzle, for sure. It was needed. I was being polite. But it's a token minting. It's an NFT token minting platform. That's what it is. I mean, it's the conversation that has been taking place over the last 6 months, kind of around this whole, God damn it, around trash art, which I try to avoid talking about, but there it is. Giving it a voice. The conversation around some of the folks that were like, running into trouble on certain platforms and wanting to be able to mint whatever it is that they wanted and complaining that Super Rare and Known Origin and all these are actually centralized platforms, which they are in part, and they should be. I told them that one day I would build them like a decentralized minting platform because I wanted to show them that like, this isn't one, but I'll build one and then you can have it and you can't bitch about not having a decentralized minting platform anymore. So that I actually like reverse spite was why I built this, I think. Because I wanted to give something to these guys so that they would shut the fuck up about not having a decentralized minting platform. And basically what we've done here is made it so that when you deploy, what you do is if you want to create some NFTs on a truly decentralized minting platform, you can come to InfiNFT and you can elect to deploy your own smart contract. So you will own the liability of whatever it is that you decide to mint. If you want to break copyright, upload Nazi shit, do whatever it is you want to do, you go right ahead. And it's going to be your responsibility and your cost to do it. And like, that's basically like the raw premise is that like anybody can be an NFT artist and anybody can mint anything they want as long as they're willing to like, own that smart contract and own the liability and everything else. It's all going to be stored on Arweave's blockchain. So it comes with permanent storage. And I hope that people appreciate not only the fact that this is a decentralized minting platform that, anybody can interact with, but also that we are the first minting platform that stores the media as well on the blockchain. So your art will be preserved as long as Arweave is alive, which is hopefully as long as Ethereum's alive. And if for some reason Arweave was to go away, then the IPFS hash would serve as a backup or an ability to migrate that media over to a new platform.
So how does this fit into the overall competitive landscape? Like, are you now directly competing with the minting platform / marketplaces that are like Super Rare, KO, Maker's Place? Are you more competing with like the minting platforms that are like mint-based, mintable, rareable? Where do you see InfiNFT fitting into that competitive landscape?
And I really like all those projects too. I think we're competing with everybody in a friendly way. Like we compete with Super Rare and the like because an artist is going to make a decision as to whether or not to mint on Super Rare or InfiNFT. Anytime they have a piece of work, they're going to make that decision. I think that we're definitely competing with all the other minting platforms or the minting solutions even, because I wouldn't call OpenSea a minting platform, but they definitely have a minting solution. I definitely, as a collector, don't love the solution that OpenSea has for their token technicals. Like, it's all centrally hosted information. You can change like the token image anytime and things like that. I think that Midbase has probably come along a little bit since I started doing this. Like Nate over there is now embracing IPFS, and I think they're doing a lot of good work, but it's always good to have competition. Him and I have I think we have a little bit less contentious relationship than we've had before, but definitely I think, some pressure there. I'm sure Sasha from Blockchain Art Exchange, he's already had a little bit of like questions about the platform and questioning like on-chain and stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure he's feeling like maybe we're going to be competing with him a little bit. Yeah, we're competing with everybody, but we're also going to work with everybody. Like one area I actually I don't think we're competing with Nifty Gateway that much for what it's worth. Like they kind of have like this limited drop thing, and they're doing like special artist appearances. It almost feels like they're not trying to get artists like completely on their platform. They're just working with artists for limited projects and things like that. I'd really like to continue to try to work with them and see like if some artists are doing things on InfiNFT, if we could get their art whitelisted onto their platform to be able to be listed on their marketplace as well. But like, and we're not trying to be like, right now, we're not trying to be a curated, art marketplace either. So for the time being, like we're really only competing on the minting side of things, which I don't think is really the profitable side. In fact, Nate Nate yelled at me a little bit about, that we're not making any money off of this right now, which isn't really the point. The point was to put it out there and see what the community wants from it.
Yeah. And my question, I guess, to follow that up is like, where do you see the marketplace living? Is this just NFT minting solution? Are there any details you can share on that front?
I guess so. So we're going to be a marketplace too. We're going to be a curated marketplace. So I was talking earlier about how anybody can come and create a token and make anything they want. That doesn't mean we're going to list it on our marketplace. We're basically going to whitelist specific smart contracts that are minted that are created on our platform, and we'll list those artists. And one of the things we're doing here is we're allowing artists to set their own commission on the token. So if they want 10%, they can set it at 10%. If they want 20%, they can set it at 20%. Our platform, our marketplace, which is not going to be available at launch for what it's worth, but our platform will respect any royalties that are recorded in the metadata there. And we'll also work to respect the metadata on other platforms as well, the royalty metadata. Or if we're just aware that a project, like if it's a super rare token, we know that there's a 10% commission. We will work with artists to get the address that we're supposed to send that to, and we'll allocate that commission to the artist at the time of sale. So we intend to respect royalties across all platforms where it's feasible and appropriate for artist royalties. So that's one of the big benefits I think that the platform offers above others. Is that like eventually like an artist would be able to feel comfortable having their tokens from any of the platforms sold on InfiNFT's marketplace and know that they're going to get the commission that they're entitled to from that sale. And being able to set the commission themselves for their InfiNFT tokens is a value proposition of the actual minting process. So yeah, we're doing a marketplace. That's not like the first thing we're launching, but we're absolutely going to like do a curated marketplace. At first, it's going to be some just very obvious curation on my part, but over time, what I hope happens is that we get some art experts involved in the platform that can actually handle the curation process and take my opinion pretty much out of it altogether.
So if I'm an artist and I got my choice of platforms to mint from or whatever, are there, like, I know you've got a lot of different things going on with the file types and everything, and this is not something I'm like extremely knowledgeable about. Are there any like slam dunks as far as like, you know, if I'm a certain type of crypto artist, I really need like a decent platform right now that hosts X, Y, and Z file type? Or is this just more of like a broad play, like everyone should be looking for like decentralized on-chain, that kind of thing? Just interested in what you think are going to be like the main target audience.
Well, 3D assets is actually a pretty big deal because that's basically what wearables and objects are in virtual reality. So like if you're doing like VR creation, like any sort of asset creation inside of VR, I think this is going to be an obvious choice. I don't think we built in Vox model support yet, but like honestly, probably not that hard or big of a deal. And for all I know, maybe the viewers on our website are already supporting that are supporting 3D. So like definitely I think that like 3D asset creation for the metaverse, like that's one of the big benefits of InfiNFT. But I think just generally speaking, I've heard from some prominent artists who weren't involved in our alpha who have heard about our announcements, and they're like freaking out about the on-chain part. Like they're like, I can't believe you actually did this. So I think that's actually my prevailing theory all along, even with Avastars, has been that people believe their stuff is on chain and then they find out it's not on chain. Like the default setting is it's on chain, right? And the same thing for artists. Like a lot of artists mistakenly thought when they got into this industry that when they were creating a token on one of these other platforms, and I have a lot of respect for these platforms, by the way, I'm not trying to dog them at all, but they thought that they were actually putting their art on chain. And then somewhere along the lines, they find out they're not, and they're either too embarrassed to speak up or they just accept it. They accept the speech that, blockchains are too hard to store stuff on and all that. Well, like to that argument, like why are there like 5 to 6 to 7 projects that are trying to build blockchains just for storage. And like, we've partnered with one that is like so stoked that we are putting NFTs on their blockchain. Like, we're the first project that's come to them and wanted to put NFTs on their blockchain. They love the use case, and they've totally like rolled out the carpet to support us and being able to do this. And like, the Arweave team is kick-ass. They're awesome. If you're an NFT developer and you're looking for like a larger storage solution on chain, like, you should talk to the Arweave guys. Feel free to reach out to me or Nate and let us know if you need us to put you in touch with them.
Well, we covered Avastars, unless there's anything else to get into with InfiNFT. I guess we could wrap up by talking about the cool shit we have cooking up over at TokenSmart real quick.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll just tease out that like art NFTs is just the first use case we're tackling. We have a bunch of different use cases that we'd like to attack with InfiNFT as well in the future, including membership tokens and event tickets, which kind of leads into TokenSmart, which is our community arm of NFT 42. We have our Discord server. We've got our work in progress meetings that we do along with Cent. We've got our podcast, and we're getting into virtual event management as well. So that's actually led by none other than Rizzle himself. He's been leading the coordination on the TokenSmart front and doing an excellent job at that.
Yeah, Rizzle, do you have any insider details that you can share with us? What you have cooking up over at TokenSmart?
Oh man, I mean. No, not really. Other than listen to the TokenSmart podcast with myself and Matthew and Trizlet, and sometimes Jim hops on, and we got like a rolling cast of people who are the best and super knowledgeable about this space and everything. And honestly, man, both of you guys have been with me this whole ride, and I feel like every week is something bigger and better and different and more exciting and everything. So, by the time this podcast is released, we'll probably have done a bunch of awesome stuff and be moving on to the next awesome stuff. So if you're not with us, you got to keep up with us. So yeah, check us out on the Discord, check out our podcast with none other than ourselves and Trizlet and Jim.
But hold on, you're not doing yourself justice here, man. You're not giving yourself enough credit. Like, this guy has gotten the Ethereal Summit. We've got 4 different sessions that are popping off inside of CryptoVoxels on our properties, and that we're helping coordinate. Like Rizzle set that up, and now we're probably sometime around the time this is being released, we're doing the Rare Arts Festival, the Rare AF festival. We're doing at least several sessions and the after party in there as well. And Rizzle's actually been the one to coordinate all of this stuff. Like, he's been out there like a madman, networking and coordinating and making sure that the stage looks good every week, and that, Matt, you've been bringing together the speakers and making like sure the schedule and everything else and the technicals are highly coordinated, where Rizzle's been like kind of like the hype man and like making sure like that everything underneath everything else is set up and everybody's happy. And you guys have both been like just like distributing these amazing wearables and NFT art every week for these work in progress meetings. Like, I come for everything, but like, if you were just to come for one reason, it's the sick spherical art NFT series that Matt's been giving out, or like the amazing wearables that Pandex and some others have been making for us that Rizzle's been giving out. So like, I mean, really, the TokenSmart thing's great. I love the podcast. You guys talk about every week. You talk about like what we've been working on in virtual reality, in CryptoVoxels, and making these meetups work and what it takes. So anybody who's interested in this like event coordination and online virtual events, like the TokenSmart podcast is an excellent resource. I highly enjoy listening to that. And then the meetups themselves are just a ton of fun. It's like an online party, man. It's like nothing else that I've experienced so far. And like, other than maybe like game launches, like hanging out in Orgrimmar in World of Warcraft, like 12 years ago or something, like it's kind of what these work in progresses are like you're just hanging out in like the middle of the metaverse, like in the coolest spot in the metaverse, and like you get to like talk to people and see like the new wearables and understand what the new projects are. So I really do love the TokenSmart project. You guys are just killing it.
Dude, that was like Rizzle. The nicest shill I feel like I've ever heard. You're going to make me emotional, man, but I'm also not letting you off the hook with this podcast without getting like an Idaho update to follow the thread from the first podcast. So,
I mean, I'll get real with you guys for a second. Like, we had this scheduled for yesterday, right? Like, I hit up Rizzle in the morning and I asked him if we could just clear my schedule for the day. I don't know that he even asked a reason, but like, I just woke up yesterday, like, borderline depressed, man. Like, I fucking hate Idaho. And like, I'm stuck in this house, and like, it's my mom's house, but she's abandoned me. She like lives with her boyfriend. So like, I'm stuck in this house in this neighborhood with like nice people that I don't give a shit about at all. Like, they're nice people, and like, I like some of them are my friends, but like, they're not my friends. These are my mom's friends. They're all like 60 and 70 and 80. And I'm going crazy. So me and my sister figured out yesterday that I probably just need to like get a trailer, hook it up to the back of my truck, and like go on a road trip. So I'm just trying to wait and see if like America reopening is actually like smart, which it doesn't feel like it is. But if it ends up that like it's okay, like, I'm definitely need to hit the road and get the fuck out of Idaho. Like, and my sister agreed with me, you know, that her and her family and her children and stuff. That's why I've been hanging around, and she agreed that I just need to hit the road again. I need to get out of Idaho. Idaho's not for me.
Jim, you're one of the most interesting people I met, man. That's why I love working with your ass.
Thanks. You guys are really interesting too.
Well, for anyone that's listening, if you want to get a taste of the metaverse you haven't yet, like Rizzle mentioned and Jim echoed, hit up the WIP meetups. They are high quality affairs, and they're just super fucking fun. You can't beat that. But before we hop off, Jim, make sure you let the folks know what channels they need to be following, be tuned into when it comes to Avastars and InfiNFT.
Yeah, that's great. Sorry for such a complicated name. We were Nifty Forge at one point, but InfiNFT really resonated with the group when I was socializing the name. You can find, you've got NFT, the number 4 ever. That's Twitter. That's the InfiNFT Twitter. You got Avastars NFT is Avastars. You got me. I am J1MMY ETH. That's my Twitter. You can find me on Scent at just J1MMY. I leave that ETH part off because it wasn't taken, the Jimmy name. And you can find us on Discord at discord.gg/NFT. That's going to throw you into the TokenSmart Discord. We've got over 750 members who know all about all the different NFTs. It's the best single place you can go to learn about NFTs, the most knowledge in the industry. So go there and ask any questions you have, and you'll get some answers. I think, and then of course, it's probably going to be done by the time this is released, but if you want to go scroll on some Avastars, you just go to avastars.io. That's avatars, but Avastars, so with an S, and .io.
Sweet, man. Well, as always, Jimmy, it's been a pleasure to speak with you. The rate and pace at which you're innovating over at NFT 42 it's really inspiring, dude. You're leveling up the quality of NFT land. You're making people really rethink what they've been doing and making sure that they consider all their options fully before minting, which is, I think, one of the best things you can do with this nascent, burgeoning space that we're all working in. So thank you for your service, your dedication, your passion, your humor. Make sure you get the fuck out of Idaho ASAP. But keep on building, man.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you guys for everything you're doing as well.
All right, man. Take it easy.
See ya.
Hey, everybody. It's Matthew, and I hope you enjoyed the conversation Rizzle and I had with Jim McNelis as much as we did recording it. So make sure you look out for InfiNFT. It's going to be a pretty major event, as the list of creators that they have initially minting on their project is massive. Like, as we mentioned in the podcast, they have all the heavy hitters. Also heading forward, our next special interview will be with DeFi Dad, aka Travis of the Ethereal Summit and the Ethereal Summit podcast. We caught up and recapped the Ethereal Summit event, the tie-in with the WIP meetup, and just talked about all things virtual events and crypto voxels. It's a really fun episode, and I hope you all enjoy that when it comes out. Lastly, as you've probably seen on crypto Twitter and on Cent, Rizzle and I, through our You Deserve a Drink podcast, as well as TokenSmart venture, have received a grant from Whale Shark every month for the next 12 months of Whale Shark's social currency. So we're strategizing ways to utilize that and give back to the community that's sprung up around You Deserve a Drink podcast, Cent, TokenSmart. So look out for airdrops and special events that incentivize everyone to do things for Whale. We're really excited about that and can't thank Whale Shark enough for recognizing the value that we're bringing to the space. So with that, please enjoy the rest of your week. Look out for my spotlight interview with Sarah Zucker, aka The Sarah Show, to drop this week. And sent on.
Cent Podcast. Cent Podcast.